Hi go-getters, so today we are diving into something extraordinary that is happening right now in West Africa and that nobody is talking about. Imagine this, you made it big abroad. You've got the cars, the mansion, the bank account, everything they told you success looks like. Then one day you pack it all up and head back to the place where you came from. Sounds crazy, right? But that's exactly what is happening in Burkina Faso. Millionaires who've built fortunes across the globe are returning home in unprecedented numbers. But why would anyone trade Western luxury for a developing nation? The answer might surprise you, and in the next few minutes, I'll reveal the hidden forces reshaping this African nation that could change the development across the whole continent. Stay with me. Burkina Faso, a landlocked country in West Africa, hasn't been known as an investment hotspot. And for decades, it followed the familiar pattern: rich in resources but struggling in poverty. The conventional wisdom said success meant living. And that's exactly what many talented Burkinabés did. But here's where things get interesting. While Western economists predicted continued dependence on foreign aid, something unexpected happened. And that's exactly when President Ibrahim Traoré stepped in. When he came in, most international observers expected business as usual. Instead, he did something that shocked the global financial community. He rejected the IMF and the World Bank loans that had been the backbone of the country's economy for generations. Now, you might be thinking that sounds like economic suicide. That's certainly what experts predicted. But what happened next challenges everything we've been told about development in Africa. Now, instead of following the traditional playbook, Traoré's government went in a completely different direction, using their own resources for their own people. Take gold for instance. Burkina Faso is Africa's fourth largest gold producer. But for decades, that gold left the country in raw form, with profits flowing to foreign companies. Traoré's government therefore made a simple but powerful change. Process more of that gold locally. Keep more of the value in Burkinabe hands. Seems obvious, right? But it's rarely done in other African countries. And that was just the beginning. The government launched massive infrastructure projects, new roads, urban developments, and energy initiatives, creating a foundation for genuine economic growth. But here's what's fascinating. They weren't just random projects. They were strategically selected to create the conditions that will make returning home attractive to the wealthy diaspora. And in a minute, I will show you how this master plan is working in ways nobody anticipated. Rather than begging for foreign investment, Traoré did something different. He directly called for Burkinabés abroad to redirect their investments back home. His message wasn't just about money, but it was about pride, about legacy, and about building something meaningful. Now, we've all heard this kind of patriotic appeals before, and usually they are met with polite applause and then ignored. But something different happened here. The wealthy diaspora actually responded. They began returning home physically and bringing their capital, expertise, and global connections with them. And the real question is, why now? Why is this appeal working while similar calls across Africa have fallen flat for decades? The answer reveals something more profound about what truly motivates wealth creators. Now, this movement isn't happening because of a single factor. It's a perfect storm of conditions creating both push and pull forces. First, let's address the pull factors. What's drawing people back? One thing you should notice that Traoré's government created tangible incentives like tax breaks for returning investors, simplified business registration, and a genuine commitment to reducing corruption. They also required foreign companies operating in Burkina Faso to establish headquarters locally. This created an ecosystem where returning entrepreneurs plug into existing business networks. But there is something even powerful at work here. Something that doesn't fit neatly into economic models. The wealthy diaspora isn't just returning for financial opportunities. They are actually coming back because Traoré's vision offers something that money can't buy: purpose and legacy. Think about it. Making another million abroad might increase your bank balance, right? But building industries in your homeland, that creates a legacy that outlives you. And that leads us to the second part, which was the push factors. Many Burkinabés abroad, despite their success, have experienced the ceilings that exist for Africans in Western nations. The subtle racism, the sense of never fully belonging. Now, contrast that with returning home as a respected business owner, contributing to a national renaissance. Which would you choose? Now, let's quickly look at the citizenship initiative of Ibrahim Traoré. In January 2025, Traoré introduced something really revolutionary: an executive order granting citizenship to descendants of Burkinabe prisoners of war trafficked during the transatlantic slave trade. This isn't just symbolic. It's part of a broader decade of return movement, reconnecting Afro-descendants with their roots. Burkina Faso isn't just welcoming back its direct diaspora. It's actually opening its arms to a wider African diaspora who may have lost their specific connections to the continent generations ago. So the message is clear, right? This isn't just about money. It's about healing historical wounds and building a new future. What's happening in Burkina Faso right now might seem like a small story in a world of flashier headlines. But I believe we are witnessing the beginning of something historic. This could actually be a blueprint for a new kind of African development, one led by Africans themselves, funded by African capital, and designed for Africans' needs. If this model succeeds, we might look back at this moment as the beginning of a profound shift in how wealth and talent flow between Africa and the rest of the world. So what do you think? Could this approach work in other African countries? Is this the beginning of a broader return movement? Let me know in the comment section, and if you found this analysis valuable, please do well to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel in order not to miss out on our videos. And if you are part of the African diaspora yourself, I would especially love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Would something like this motivate you to invest back home? Let me know as I will be in the comments reading. That said, thanks for watching this video, as I will see you on my next one.